Hello, I'm Hare from the channel AHareOverAHill, and today we are actually going to do another uh, deck tech, another commander deck tech of my Derevi Empyrial Tactician. Uh, I built this deck to be more as unlike most of my other decks, I built this more as like a mid-range, slightly more competitive deck. Mostly in mind. Most of the themes that I have going on is just instead of I realize a lot of Derevi players might say, "Oh yeah, build a prison." Say, no, this is a mid-range deck. This is how I built my version of the deck. Um, Granted, yes, there's control options, there's some amount of infinites, but with most of it, it is control and whatnot. The actual deck list is in the description down below. And for the people who played back in Dragons of Tokyo, the Tokyo block, if you remember Esper midrange, this is basically banned banned Dragons midrange. Yeah. Let's start this off. How is this midrange? Uh, like a dragon's mid-range, then start off with the dragons. Um, and the top end of the deck, and I do play more creatures than this, but it's these act as my top end and most of my finishes that I want to happen. Dragon Lord Dramoka, no one can do things on my own, and just uh, a huge 5/7 kind of thing. Dramoka the Eternal, um, help boss the boss doing. I have a small +1/+1 counter aiming, so this is actually a somewhat nice card to have going on. Dragonlord Ojitai, so I can start digging. When I was building this deck, it was I want to include like the Elder Dragons in the rotation, which was really didn't include dragons, the not the dragons, uh, the dragons, the not the Forgotten Realm dragons. And when they were coming out, it's like, I think I'm good without them. I probably should actually consider putting them in, taking out some of the bad cards, but I've been finding that the theming actually works. But Ojitai helps me go digging, which can be important. Uh, Ojitai, Soul of Winter, whenever it and whenever one of my dragons attacks, I get to tap things down. I've actually had that come in use quite a number of times of just like, oh yeah, I'm tapping that down and keeping things tapped down. And it's tap and it doesn't untap during the next untap step. So I keep forgetting my camera's no longer up on the monitor, but actually it's down here. Tanzania Quandrix, like I said, I'm dealing quite. I wanted to include all the Elder Dragons, which included Tenzia, and weirdly enough, it's like, oh, if I include a few more cards, I get to, it's a, I get, I get to do a lot with counters. And what he does is that when he enters the battlefield, I get to double the counters on something. And then whenever it attacks, his power and toughness, I get to choose that his power and toughness becomes the base power and toughness for everything else. And there's been multiple times that I've just like, oh yeah, I got him his power and tough, throw a few counters on and throw, and oh yeah, everything is a base like 7/7 now. Oh, and all these creatures also have counters, +1/+1 counters. Let's boost them up. Um, for some of the control options, I know I need to the counter spells. I need to get better ones. Uh, yeah, but at the moment, they work for me. Memory lapse, counter spell really can do enough. Uh, Remand, counter return, draw a card, which is nice. Arcane Denial, and another sub theme which is what I really was pushing with Derevi as my commander is Rewind. Uh, yeah, with Derevi, with it, whenever the ETBs or whenever any of my things does combat damage while on the field, I get to untap stuff. With Rewind, that is a huge part of this deck, and what makes this adds in a lot of the aggression. Um, in that I get to untap a lot of my stuff again, and I get to reuse. For some more of the control options, though, getting back to that, rapid hyperinization and Pongify, I just for creature removal, reality shift, uh, swords to path shares and path to exile, uh, obvious exile creatures, disenchant and return to dust, enchantment and artifact removal, um, beast within, beast within, generous gift, and really enough, fractured identity, generic removal. With fractured identity, I wanted to include it because it was just doing that general remove, and everyone gets it. I've been finding that it's like, oh, this is actually being quite useful. Um, for then four world wipes, Wrath of God, or Farewell, Supreme Verdict, and Cyclonic Rift. Uh, these work. They're just generically good board wipes. So yeah. Uh, for much of the uh, ramp, it's some of your standard things. Kodama's Reach and Cultivate. 8. 3 visits to grab a forest. Uh, 4 seek to grab anything but a forest. In which I play a number of duels in the deck. Which like not just I don't play the original duels mostly because I don't have them, and I'm probably never gonna put them in here unless I do proxies. But at the moment, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I play like the sharks, the snow-covered Alpine ones, in which why I'm also playing Into the North, uh, just so I can grab up these stuff. Then we get Arcane Signet and the On Color Signets, so that's Azorius, Selesnya, and Simic. The On Color Talismans of Curiosity, Unity, and Progress. Uh, you need mana fixing. Then Solving and Chromatic Lantern. Chromatic so I can fix, Solving because it's a staple of the format. So let's get into some of the fun options. Like I said, I'm doing a lot with tapping and untapping, uh, more as a control option. So, Hollow Fountain, so I can start untapping my own stuff and get some benefits. I'm mostly looking, I was gonna take him out, then it's like, no, I want to keep him in here so I can untap some of my own stuff. Like help untap some of my own stuff, and getting either creature or drawing a card is always nice. I don't think I'll ever get that untapping 15 creatures situation, but it's gonna be useful at one point. Then we have Isocorn Scepter and Dramatic Reversal combo, potential infinite mana, but the untaps that it provides is also the benefit, even if I don't get infinite mana. Kios's Follow and Voyaging Satyr, either with the Satyr, it's ramp, Kynaios follower, it's get a second activation out of my stuff. Um, Kyo's Behemoth Mechano, if you've been playing Pioneer or Explorer, you've been running into this quite a lot with the Green Devotion decks. It's a no. Like, I'm trying to untap my own stuff to get repeats, it's an obvious inclusion. Kyo, Master of Depth, it's a +1, yeah, which is untap a target creature and untap up to one target creature and land. That's both one creature and one land that you get to untap. I'm almost never going to -2, which is look at the top 4 and grab either a creature or land and throw them into my hand. I'm almost never going to include that. Use that unless I'm really desperate, but because I'm lacking creatures and don't have a huge amount of land, it's not going to be really useful. I'm at 34 lands with a total of 11 creatures. That's less than half the deck itself. So I'm almost never going to do that. And if I get to -8, okay, that's gonna be nice. Which is I get the emblem that whenever a creature enters under my control, I get to have it fight something, and then I get 8 blue octopus tokens, which then all get to fight. Maybe but I'm almost never going to try to do that. There's an elixir, give all my tappers pseudo haste, and then I get to untap something for one on generic. Then illusionist bracers double up on the tapped abilities of my creatures. Lux cannon, uh, tap it, put a charge counter, or tap it, remove 3 charge counters, destroy any permanent. It's removal. And I have in the past, like, oh look, I have 2 mana, the Isocon Scepter, Dramatic Reversal. I'm not making infinite mana, but I can now wipe the ball everyone's field and no one's ever going to have a permanent again. And I've ended games slash I've had one game of like the opponent just like, oh, unless I draw something, and then next turn it's like, and I infinite out for the win. Granted, that was actually my Kami deck, which I should be putting up above, that I just infinite one with like a. But point is, Lux Cannon can be really useful, and because of Derevi untapping, I can untap it with the Kynaios follower. I get to really walk with Lux Cannon's ability and whatnot. Arcanist, the Omnipotent, tap draw 3, and for 2 and for 2 generic and 2 blue, return them to my hand. Yeah, it's just extra draw that I get to really manipulate. Uh, Enclave, Cryptologist, same thing with Arcanist, it's draw in this deck. And then a new addition that I haven't yet to get to test, but I've had people suggest this, Prodigal Saucer. And yeah, this is probably one of the, an infinite with the Kiosk, with the Isocron Scepter combo, of just winning, but it's also just, oh yeah, ping that for 1. And then I untap it, ping it again, kill it, or ping you for 1. It's those small things that I get to really get to manipulate the how much I'm actually doing, and to really finish up this. Most of the rest of this is either utility or whatnot. Lightning Greaves and uh, Swiftfoot Boots, Hexproof Shroud with haste, get off extra attacks, protect my stuff. That's gonna be important. Squall Nest, uh, more tapping shenanigans, Voyaging Sailor, yeah, just getting a potentially I that's one of the things that should probably definitely come out, but unless I eventually put in an Northcraft into this deck, but it's just one of those like, hey, I just now have a. This is how I can start making some amount of leadway on a board presence. Breaker's Ascendancy. I'm playing a boatload of Planeswalkers, so getting the counters on them is nice. Getting counters on my creatures is always going to be useful, so yeah. Coastal Piracy and Bident of Thassa. Pretty much all my creatures are flying, so I'm not ever going to get like a uh, Tim trigger off of them, but because most of my creatures are flying and are giant flyers like that, just getting that extra draw occasionally is nice. Dovin Bond to either manipulate certain things or getting the draw is always nice. If I get to -7, him, which is each opponent doesn't untap more than 2 permanents on the untap. It's again that manipulating the field situation. Narset Transcendent, -2 to rebound something, +1 to go and dig for a non-creature not on land, which is always useful. Tamio Field Researcher, it is +1 with all my. It's either I don't have anything to target, oh, I target your things that might actually do combat damage, or target my own big flyers and draw cards. -2, I get to freeze something for a turn, and potentially that -7 is going to just. It's an omnipresence. Then I just play a bunch of take an extra turn cards, Elrond's Epiphany, also getting some boards out of it, Time Warp, extra turn, Champ Trespass, extra turn with Delve, Pot the Water Veil, plays fun with Proliferate and all the counters, potentially getting a huge turning one of my lands into a creature, Lighthouse, Chronologist, oh, it's a 1/3 with level up for 1 blue. At level 4 and 6, oh, it goes from 1/3 to a 2/4. It doesn't sound. But as soon as it hits level 7, 3/5. And I get an extra turn at the end of each of my opponent's turn. So each rotation, that is going to be an extra. That's 3 extra turns in a part of 4. Oh look, I get 4 turns per rotation of the table, which is, and on top of it, two of those are going to be like a double turn there. Most of my land base, it's nothing of much note. I'm just gonna like Command Tower, Reflecting Pool, Sparse Headquarters, Seaside Citadel, things like the on-color temples, the on-color sharks, the on-color bounces, the Battlelands, if you have at least 2 opponents, and then the on-color if you control a sorted land type, and then the Rimwood Falls, and it's the Snowlands with 2 basic colors into the north, and in the 3 visits. That's some of the primary thing. of why I I have it's pretty much the same for every color with the exception of uh, these. I also include Celestial Colonnade just as a extra thing. I think I originally did include all the other man-lands for the other colors, but I just was finding that like, yeah, Celestial Colonnade is gonna be good enough for most of my situations. For basics, three snow-covered islands, three snow-covered forests, and two plains. Like I'm finding white is not. I don't have enough white to justify a 3-3-3 kind of sitch. Khan's Bastion, Proliferate, Gavany Township for the counters, and because I have into the north, let's search out in Dark Depths. I don't have Thespian stage in here, but yeah, uh, eventually I'll include it just so I have that combo as well. But at the moment, it does mean well enough. So as always, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below of what you thought of my Derevi Empyrial Tactician deck. Um, Leave your thoughts, comments. The entire list should be down in my description. So as always, I'll see you. Peace, and I'll see you around.